Hello, I'm Roger Bowman. Welcome to this edition of Plugged Inland. Tonight we're examining the relationship between students and their teachers to illuminate how educators can identify and help at-risk students. Pacific High School is one of 5 traditional comprehensive high schools in the San Bernardino City Unified School District in San Bernardino, California. Pacific has 6 administrators and over 100 teachers and support staff that serve a culturally diverse population of more than 2,000 students. Pacific High School is a national demonstration school for advancement via individual determination, also known as AVID. AVID's mission is to close the achievement gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in a global society. The AVID program levels the playing field for minority, rural, low-income, and other students without a college-going tradition in their families. Marlon Smotherman is one of the dedicated AVID teachers at Pacific. He works with students to build study skills and help them with problem solving. He helps them know themselves and get along with their peers. And he works tirelessly to be a role model for students and former students. The AVID program also takes juniors on a bus tour of California colleges. For many kids, such a trip is a first. Pacific High School is dedicated to providing each student with the opportunity to acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to achieve personal, educational, and career goals. In studio with me tonight is Marlon Smotherman, a teacher at Pacific High School here in San Bernardino. Also joining us is a former student of Marlon's, Sharon Awad. Thank you both for being with me tonight.
Thank you.
Sharon, saying you were a student of Marlon isn't exactly correct.
No, it isn't. I was actually a student assistant. I was a tutor my senior year in his class, but he treated me just like a student, so I was no different than the other students.
And what is a student tutor, a student assistant?
Well, I'm an AVID tutor, so I'll do tutorials with the students, but I'm just a student myself. Usually we go through training when you're not a student and then you become an AVID tutor, but I was a student myself and I got elective credits as well for that. Great.
And we're talking about AVID tonight, amongst other things, and you're an AVID instructor, are you not?
That's correct.
So let's talk a little bit about what is AVID. I think many parents, at least historically, haven't heard of this program. Some now have, certainly. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what is AVID.
Well, AVID is an elective class that gears kids or gets them ready for college. The misconception is that a lot of times when people ask me about AVID, they want to say, oh, so it's for the smart kids. It's the kids that want to achieve and want to go to college, so we teach them test-taking strategies. We have tutorials, as we said, with our college tutors that come twice, and then on the third day they grade notebooks. We take a junior trip in their junior year. We just recently came back, went to 4 different, on 4 days, we went to 11 different colleges. It's just, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So.
And what we're talking about here is creating a college mindset. Is that not right?
That's correct.
What is a college mindset?
College mindset is just getting your mind ready and for college so you can be successful in college. I tell my students this: if I said we're going to go to a concert at the Staples Center and we get on the bus and we go to the Staples Center and they're all excited and we get off the bus and then I just say, okay, we're here, and they say, where's my ticket? I said, I'm taking you here. That's it. Well, AVID, we necessarily will get them to the Staples Center and get them in the Staples Center so they enjoy themselves. So in the same sense, we're preparing them for college so they're successful in college.
And you mentioned a lot of people mistakenly think it's for the smart kids.
That's correct.
It's for the nerds, it's for the brainies, but in fact, this is really targeted for a different demographic, those who haven't had parents who graduated from college. Is that right?
That's correct. Our program is a little bit different than most AVID programs. There's guidelines that we're supposed to follow as far as it's for the middle kid. It's not the kid that's under a 2.0, but it's not your 4.0 student. At Pacific, we actually have an open door policy for any student that wants to try the program.
So let me interject. You're differentiating your AVID program because a lot of them are for the 2.0 student, I'm sorry, the middle students, not the 2.0, not the 4.0. I'm
Yes.
presuming 4.0 is presumed they're going to go to college no problem.
Yes.
2.0 might have too far to go.
Yes.
And might be taking a different path, technical
Yes.
college or something.
Yes, but the problem with that is, in our area, a lot of the students are going to be first-time generation. So you might have a 4.0 student, but parent may have not graduated from college or from high school. So they still need that assistance. And then we also have a hard time shutting the door on an incoming freshman that might not have it all together in their 8th grade year. So them not having a 2.0, if they want to try it, then we give them the opportunity to try it.
And so you have dismal success with that open door policy, right?
We have a, there's.
Oh, come on, brag.
There's a, I mean, it goes, when the kids get out, when I tell the kids, we tell people when they stay in AVID for 4 years,
Yeah.
around 96% of the kids will get accepted to a 4-year university.
96%.
96%.
With an open door policy.
With a
With a
open door.
diversity of grade point averages coming in.
Yes.
Wouldn't people look at that and say that's outstanding? Wouldn't you get some kind of national focus for that?
Well, we have got national focus, and we are a national demonstration school, which there's roughly, I want to say, close to 5,000 programs throughout the United States, and I think maybe 117 out of those are national demonstration schools, and we are a national demonstration school.
Is that necessarily because of your success rate, or is it because perhaps a blend of factors, that open door policy that you have, the fact that you do have a pretty high success rate?
It's a combination. It's not just necessarily the kids getting to the 4-year university, because there's some AVID programs where if the student is not geared to going to a 4-year university, they might remove them from the program. So you might have 100% get accepted to a 4-year university.
Because you've shed the dead weight beforehand.
Yes. When you asked before, we do have like a high, I mean, because we have roughly 400 to 500 freshmen come in, but then we might have like 80 seniors that graduate from the AVID program. It's a pretty intense course. We require our kids to take notes in all their classes, so Sharon could not be an AVID, and I could be an AVID, and she could be sitting in the same class, just sitting there, and I'm still required to take notes. And as a teenager,
not just in your AVID class, but in all the other classes they're taking. So being a member of AVID actually creates a responsibility that propagates through their entire scholastic day.
Definitely.
Well, there's binder checks.
Yeah, tell us about those binder checks, Sharon.
The tutors we have to grade their binders. We look for specific notes. Usually it's about 4 or 5 per class at the end of the week. So in 1 week they have to accumulate 25 notes. It's different every Friday. And we check those and make sure that they have their questions on the side, that they're highlighted. Did they use abbreviations? Are they taking the right note-taking skills? So it's very important that they know how to take notes, and it's all to help them take notes in college. I still use Cornell Notes in college, and I'm a 3rd year. So
out of the whole AVID program, the kids will tell you that they probably hate the most the notebooks and the notes. But most of the college kids that leave Pacific and go to college, the thing that they use the most are the notes.
Yes, because smart kids, even if you're a little bit lazy, can get by, generally speaking, I think, in high school by just remembering information, cramming right before. But in college, the difficulty steps up quite a notch, and those notes become an important factor in their success in college. And that, I guess, is part of the prep work that you do.
Yes. As a freshman, we're teaching them. As a sophomore teacher, I'm very strict. It's honing in on the skills, keeping them organized. Their junior year, it flies by. Those study habits should already be in place. In their senior year, it's just fine-tuning. They already know what they need to do, and it's off to college and using those in the college. One of our AVID tutors, I remember when she was a freshman going into University of Redlands, she said at her freshman orientation, they had to take a class, and they taught the students the same strategies that we were using, the the Cornell notes that we use. And so then of course I have to take that back to my students and say, look, this is what's going on. So.
Of course, and she has the advantage because she's lived that note taking. It's not a new concept to her. She does it. It's not something she has to think about. And yet she comes away with preparatory material that'll help her succeed in college.
Yes.
And of course, I imagine being an AVID tutor is a blast.
It's really fun because you get to work with different kids.
Oh
You
my
learn
gosh.
from them, and then they make you laugh. I came in with the mentality in January, I'm going to be strict, no talking, no nothing, you know, just do your tutorial and that's it. But you have to just, when they let you let loose, and you still get the job done, but you learn so much from them, and I love them.
Now that's the Sharon of now, though.
Yeah.
I understand there's a little bit of a backstory, and that isn't the Sharon of old.
No, when I was a student tutor for him, I enjoyed the kids, don't get me wrong, but I had the mentality going in that I really want to help them. I was really into AVID. I was AVID vice president, so I really wanted to help them, but they didn't look at me as a helper. They just looked at me as somebody else. They didn't give me what I wanted.
You were a high school student at the time.
Yeah, I was a senior, so I was only 2 years older than them, some maybe even a year. So I wasn't getting what I wanted from them, you know, that respect. And not that they were disrespectful, but I just wanted that rewarding feeling, and I wasn't getting it. So at the end of the year, he had me do a little project, and I wrote up a letter, or it was like a letter to them. And I read it, and I told them how much they meant to me and how much they'll always be in my heart when I go to college. But in the end, I will never be a teacher. And I said, never.
Definitively.
Never. I will never be a teacher.
Many paths you could take. Teaching is not going to be one of them.
No, and thank you to you guys. I will never be a teacher. Even though I loved them, I just could never be a teacher.
So you went into nursing.
I did. And I stayed for a quarter. When I realized it just wasn't for me, there was something I was missing. And I know Mr. Smotherman and I have talked about this before. When you're away from it, you miss it. And I did get a rewarding feeling, but I just didn't realize it at the time. And being a teacher, it is so rewarding, even without the thank yous. And when you do get the thank you, it's even better. But for it to be a rewarding job, even without the thank yous from the student, is something that I really, really was drawn to. And I switched to liberal studies, and I've been in it for 3 years now. So
With the goal of?
Teaching.
Teaching.
Yeah.
That which you would never do.
I would never do it. Never say never, right?
And you're back. And I understand being a teacher assistant and AVID tutor in his class had a big impact on that decision because you had that experience to look back at and reflect on.
And I think we have the same personalities. So I really liked his teaching style, even though I was nervous to go in at first.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, I was really nervous, but we kind of have the same teaching style where you show them your side as kind of like a friend, but in the end, you're still their teacher and you're their instructor. And so we have that same mentality where you are strict with them to teach them lessons, but you're not a robot. And so I liked his teaching style, and he actually influenced me more than he knew at the time.
I want to touch on that for a minute. Marlon, you didn't know that she had this epiphany. You didn't know that she reflected back and decided to change her major. She left as a student who thought it was a worthwhile endeavor being your assistant, but thanks, but no thanks, and I'm out. And she was talking about not getting the reward, and I imagine as a teacher that happens all the time, even in her case, somebody who you influenced that much, you didn't even know you had that influence. So you were, until you reconnected, you were in that same unrewarded position.
Yes, it's funny because just like you said, I think with a lawyer or a doctor or a businessman, when they finish their task, they can see, and the person will say thank you right then and there. As a teacher, you don't always see that because that kid that's in the back that's kind of causing you problems that you're always on, down the line, they might say, you know, you had the biggest impact in my life. And the same thing with Sharon. I didn't have Sharon as a student. So it's kind of funny because most of the TAs or student teachers student aides that I have were former students of mine. So I had no relationship with Sharon. I knew who she was because she was an AVID. So when she came into the class and I told her at the beginning, I said, look, you're going to do a project at the end of the year. You'll talk about that project to the students. And so I remember directly her saying, I will never teach. That's what I learned from this class. I like you guys. Some of you guys I love.
I'm sorry, you said that in front of the students?
Yeah, I read it.
Definitely.
You read it out in front of the students.
I had my paper and I said thank you.
Like you guys, but you were the terror of my year. I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, said that.
Yep.
I mean, they knew I liked them, but.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, she showed that she liked and she cared for the kids, and the kids kind of chuckled with it, but it was definite like, I'm not going to teach. And every year, you know, we have tutors that graduate, and so we're always looking for replacement tutors. And I'd always bring up Sharon's name, always, to our coordinator. We got it. Her schedule doesn't work. So then when we got her, and she came back, and I hadn't talked to her for a couple of years.
You came back as a college student now.
Mm-hmm.
As a college student.
A third year college student, but again, as an AVID tutor.
Yes.
Yes.
Now potentially with more respect because you're not a high school peer.
Right,
Yes.
definitely.
And she says, I said, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. You still nursing? Actually, no. Really? What? Liberal studies, huh? Never. And she laughed and smiled about it, and yeah, definitely.
So how did that affect you? I mean, let's face it, everybody thinks that as a teacher it's going to be like To Serve with Love, that old movie with Sidney Poitier. And in the end, the class is so grateful and they sing the song to him in tribute. But in reality, it's not like that.
No. I mean, you have to love it. There's some teachers that will get into it as their last, you know what, things weren't working out. I started subbing, and then I found myself into a credential program, and now I'm teaching. For myself, I've known that I want to teach since the 7th grade, so it was a dream come true for me to teach. And I love being a teacher. I tell my students, you know, when the alarm goes off, I don't dread going to work in the morning. I like vacation time, but I never count down the days. And I've told my students this, that if you ever see on my board, you know, 5 days, 6 hours, you know that I'm retiring, I'm getting into another field, because that's not my style.
And I'm sure that's true of your students too. They would never count down the days to the end of summer vacation.
No. No, they count. I look at it as almost like a screen door. The kids that are in my class went out. The kids that are not in my class went in.
Do they want in? Sharon, you teased us a moment ago about his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about what trepidations you had going into Marlon's class.
Well, it started out my freshman year. When I was a freshman, and I had all my friends were in AVID. I was in AVID, and they were moving on to Mr. Smotherman's class. I don't want to go. He's strict. You can't have a bend in the corner. You can't have your paper smeared. And so my senior year, I expected to actually tutor with Miss Etzel, who was the teacher I had, and she said, "You're going with Mr. Smotherman." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I'm nervous because I heard he was really strict. But then I came in with the mentality like I'm a student tutor. He's not going to treat me like that. No.
And he did.
He did. I had to be quiet. I paid attention because I was there every day. Now as an AVID tutor, I'm there during tutorials and binder checks, but I was there every day as a student. And so I just got to listen and see him. And if I never acted up, but if I was talking, you know, I would get, you know, he would let me know. So, but in the end, I had an open mind because my friends were telling me he's great. Just he has a reason for everything he does. And so I listened to that and I was open and I realized he does. He's so inspirational. He's really great.
Thank you.
But
You're welcome.
that didn't come through that first year as much as it did in hindsight. Or did you feel that and you just didn't think the career was rewarding?
Well, at the end, in terms of him, yeah, I thought he was great and he really taught me a lot. I just didn't think that as you said, the career was as rewarding with my personal experience. He taught me, but I wasn't really paying attention with the relationships he had with his students because I was focused on my relationship with the students. But in hindsight, when I did look back and I realized that I was paying attention, he actually had inspired me because we are almost the same personality.
Sharon, if I can be so bold, that's actually a very mature outlook, actually, for you to realize that what you missed back then is the observation of the way he, as an experienced teacher, would relate to his students, not necessarily extrapolating your relationship as the only possible relationship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have to commend you on that.
Thank you.
So, Marlon, what is it about your reputation? You have one of the stricter reputations in the school, do you not?
Definitely do. I definitely do. Before I do that, I just have to say hi to my students that are looking at me, and I just want to say hi, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys on Monday. But I do have a strict reputation, and a lot of times my students, or incoming students, want to get confused with being mean and being strict, and I have to tell them the difference. One of the first assignments that I have on the first day of school is I tell them, I pull out a piece of paper, I want you to write down all the rumors that you've heard about me. And I hear all the things from, you throw up some papers in the air, and if they don't land right, I don't collect them, you beat up students, to, you know, you don't smile or whatnot. They're just outrageous. And I read through every single one of them. word for word. And I tell them this, I said, the only thing that I'm going to vouch for that I am very strict. All the other things you have to determine on your own. I go, because how would that be for me to take what your teachers or friends have said about you and make my judgments on those statements? So you're going to have to come up with your own conclusions. But I am very strict. As Sharon was saying, everything that I have, I do for a reason. Sometimes the kids don't understand that until at the end of the year, or necessarily when they get out of my class.
So what's with Sergeant Smotherman?
Sergeant Smotherman is basically, it's order. There's order in there. Typical to like today, we have notebooks that were due today, and the kids were getting stuff in line. And I said, all right, you guys hurry up. And they were still kind of, you know, going through it. And I said, I don't want to have to start counting. And when I started, guys, I said 10. And the kids, it was just pandemonium in there. Ah, you know, and then I kind of gave a few seconds, and then I said 9, and you.
Oh my gosh.
And then people were running through their backpacks and stuff like that. But I am very strict, but the kids know that I care. That's the biggest thing. And several years ago, when I first started, I used to teach opportunity. So you have the flip, because a lot of teachers will say, well, he can do that because he has the AVID type of student. Well, when I was doing opportunity, it was the same way. I may have not had as many kids going to college, or, you know, having a 3.0. Maybe some kids were, you know, struggling.
Tell us, what is opportunity?
Opportunity was a program that they had. They had in the elementary school, and I want to say the junior highs, and they were going to try to have it in the high school. And basically what it was the 8th graders that struggled academically or discipline-wise. Some way or another, their grades were not good enough. And instead of them retaining them in middle school, they were going to bring them up to high school, and they were going to be in my classroom all day long. So I kind of look at it this way. Now I have the kids that pull me through the mud, and those kids I had to pull through the mud. But I still had it. I still had those kids that were able to respect me. And the biggest thing is rules and relationships don't work if you don't have relationships. If you don't have a relationship with a student, they're not going to follow your rules at all. And that's how it was with the opportunity kids and these kids that I have now. I mean, I love them, and I try to show it. And I tell the kids, I go, I have a daughter, hi Janessa, that I treat all of my kids just as I would treat her. So when I have a young lady that maybe has a hickey on the neck, they know that they're going to have a conversation with me. When the young man has his pants down, he's going to have a conversation with me.
The bagging.
The pants down to their ankles or whatever, I'm going to have a conversation with them, because I treat every student as they were my son or my daughter.
And Sharon, you were laughing when he was talking about the rumors. He said throw the papers up and everything. You were laughing not because they were farcical, but I could tell that gleam of recognition in your eye. Mm-hmm. You actually know of those rumors. I mean, people take those seriously, do they not? Very.
They take them so seriously, and it's surprising because you would think after the kids who understand his technique and the reasons why he does things would come out and have new rumors about you, you know, like he's great, but the rumors still stick that he's strict, and I don't know how come they haven't died out, and then the real ones have come out, but it's true. But today when he was doing the countdown, the tutors were enjoying it. I was laughing because they were scrambling and putting in their planners last minute, and it was really fun.
Okay, in a moment, we have a call. In a moment, I'm going to go to that caller. But first, let me ask, what does he do to actually engender that respect for his discipline? In other words, the perception today is these classrooms are full of hooligans who don't respect authority figures. So he could count down until he's blue in the face and nobody would do anything, but they do. What does he do?
I think it's his general respect for himself. And I think the way he shows himself to others is the way people perceive him. And so he just generally has that. I don't know what it was. Like, I think the first week I was just drawn to him and felt like I had to respect him. And I think it's the way he perceives himself as well.
Okay. I want to go out to San Bernardino, and it's to Melanie. Melanie, you're on the air. What would you like to say?
I would like to say that Mrs. Smotherman is the best teacher and that he gives me a hard time, but I love him. And my sister Ashley says hi.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Wow, you have a fan club calling in. They don't get extra credit for that.
They don't get extra credit for that. No extra credit.
Nice try.
I'll see you on Monday.
Okay, so talk a little bit about this idea of respect for elders. A contentious issue people have, I think, now is teachers used to be referred to only by their last name. You know, Mr. Smotherman, Ms., and now teachers are saying, just call me by my first name, Ben, you know, Chris. Do you? And
definitely not. Definitely not. If they know my first name, just because it's on the roll sheet, or excuse me, on their schedule. I remember years ago, kids used to ask me, "What's your first name?" I say, "Mr." And then they were like, "What's your middle name?" I say, "Period." Last name Smotherman. You know, it's just a respect, and I tell my students, respect goes from 3 years old to 103 years old. I generally respect my students. One of my rules, my first rule is respect others. And so if I do have to have a conversation with a student, the first thing that I do when I pull them out, I say, have I disrespected you? And I give them time to talk. And most of the time, well, no, I'm like, well, think. And then I just say, well, this is how you've disrespected me. And they know that it's not a power trip. It's not me just being in control. It's because I care for them. And I'm consistent. The things I do on day one, I'm going to do on the last day of school.
So how do you deal with distractions in the classroom? Let's face it, everybody wants to text these days.
Doesn't happen.
How?
I can't say that that respect goes a long ways. The kids respect me. If the phone goes off, the kids know, turn the phone off, hand it to me. The kids turn it off and hand it to me, and they're respectful for it. And I tell them, come and get it at the end of the day. And I say the next time it goes to the office or whatever. And the kids generally will give me the phone.
Okay, we're about to take another call.
Okay.
Would you agree texting today is kind of like the a version of passing notes of the old time?
Definitely. And it's funny because there used to be the notes, writing the letters and stuff like that. But even when that was an issue, I'm a very observant teacher. I'm always around. So a kid like putting his head down doesn't exist in my classroom. A kid trying to write something when I'm talking and they shouldn't be taking notes. If someone's writing something, I'm asking, why are you taking notes on this? So I'm very observant and I walk around. I look at it as when I'm in my class, I look at it as a performance. I want all eyes on me. I don't want kids talking. I don't want any side conversations. And they know my personality is not one of those teachers that's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to wait till everyone stops talking. It doesn't happen in my classroom.
Okay, let's go out to Redlands. Marla, you're on the air. What's your question?
My question is, how is it that AVID is funded? And then I have a second question. How can we help students in the elementary school level, because I'm an elementary school teacher?
Okay, first question was, how is AVID funded?
I know our district has funding for AVID, and every district runs a little bit different, and it's actually school site as well. We don't have a problem as far as paying our tutors. But I don't write the checks for it, so I don't know where that money comes from. But I know our district has allotted some money from it, and then our principals that we've had this year as well in the past see that it's a strong and a thriving program, so they put their money towards that.
Okay, and she had a second question. Marla asked, what can be done at the elementary level to identify and help at-risk students? And I think that calls to the wider perspective that when they get in high school, they may be already set in their ways. What can be done at the elementary or middle school levels to say, like you said, the opportunity. How can you steer the kids at that level to not get into that opportunity program?
Yeah, I think it's, with all the budgets and class sizes getting bigger and stuff, it's very difficult, but staying on it, having the parents involved as much as possible, not letting things slide by. The tendency will be like, that's just who he is. or that's just who she is as a student, and you can't let that happen. If the kid doesn't turn their homework in and you say that you're not going to play at recess, then they're not going to play at recess. If you have to call the mom every single day because that's what you say you're going to do, you have to be consistent with it, which naturally, even in the high school, teachers have the tendency, like, I called last week, I don't feel like calling this week. I called and nothing happened. You got to keep calling, because if the parents kind of start saying, wait a minute, they're calling me every single day, I'm getting tired of it, like, well, I'm getting tired of what's going on with the behavior as well. And just having that general conversation. I know in the high school it's a little bit easier because I can generally have a conversation with the student. So if Sharon's having a problem, I always tell my students this: I'd rather deal with you because you can generally control your behavior. You're a young adult. I think that's why I like high school, more so than elementary level. But in this elementary level, there's still time. I have a young lady that just told me today, she goes, oh, I remember I was in opportunity 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And now she's in my AVID class and she's thriving, she's doing well. I wouldn't have never known that she was in opportunity. When I used to teach opportunity several years ago, I remember the first day I said, welcome to my class. And I was teaching English and world geography at the time. And I kind of said, this is honors English. And they were like, what? Honors English? No, I'm in opportunity, because there's that mystique that they're supposed to act a certain way. I think that kids will rise to the expectations that you set in front of them. So if you think that that student is not going to do anything because they didn't do anything last year, they're not going to do anything.
Sharon, give me a very brief synopsis. What are culture bags?
Oh, they're when the students make bags that talk about their culture, and they get to know one another's through their culture, and I think they're amazing. I love that idea. That's all. I'm going to do that in my classroom.
And it's, I understand, to let your students understand a little bit more about the other cultures of the people that are actually in the class. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take a moment here, and we've been talking about these culture bags, but I know it helps to see them, to understand how they foster cultural understanding in the classroom. So let's have a look. And when we come back, we'll have another guest join us for a third perspective.
What we have here is we have our culture bags. This assignment came into mind several years ago. And basically what it is the kids have to decorate 3 of the 4 of the sides with their culture. And they also put 4 items inside the bag that represents their culture. They also are allowed to put 2 items of things that they like. So that could be a phone, a cell phone, an iPod. Sometimes they put some of the sports teams. But several years ago, we had a lot of kids that were having problems. There were a lot of race issues and problems. And I thought that sometimes a lot of our cultures are very closely similar. And I thought that if they were able to see where the other person's culture is coming from and see how closely related they are, that it would stop some of the problems or some of the stereotypes or some of the things that they had in mind about the other culture. And so as you can see, this person is from Mexico, so they consider themselves a Mexican-American, so they have the Mexican-American flag kind of split there. This person's from Mexico, from Cambodia. We have people from Germany. Some of the students find things out about their culture that they didn't even know. I didn't know that my great-grandmother was from Sweden or Ireland or from Greece, that they put the Olympic rings there. You can see that some people get very creative as far as cutting some things out. I've had people put maracas in there, put food in there, family heirlooms in there. This person right here is from Hmong, and he kind of put a little temple here. He kind of explained some of the holidays that they go through. You can see this is one of the typical dresses that is worn as far as when they dance. This guy was from Vietnam. The Cambodian flag right there. This person was from Samoa. The kids really get creative with this. They also have an observation sheet that they're supposed to fill out. And basically, one of these students is observing another student, and they have to write down 3 of the artifacts that are pulled out of the bag, and then they have to make a connection if they have any kind of connection, whether they're from Greece or Italy or from America, some type of connection. So that's the culture bag.
Plugged Inland represents KVCR's continuing interest in focusing on important issues in the inland area. Supported by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, we're looking into innovations and solutions in education as part of the American Graduate Let's Make It Happen. And you can help us make it happen. Call us anytime during the show at 866-367-5827. Or you can send questions or comments right from our website at pluggedinland.org. Or you can email us questions and comments to questions@pluggedinland.org. And you can tweet us at #KVCR. Joining me in studio is another former student of Marlon's, Kenny House. Thank you for coming in and being with us, Kenny.
No problem.
Great, and I want to hear your story, but we have callers. Yeah. And being plugged inland, we're going to take the call. So let's go out to Riverside, and it's Duran. What is your question, Duran?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I'm very familiar with Mr. Smotherman. I'm his older brother, and I've never met a person more passionate about their work. He says that he takes vacations in the summer, and he doesn't. Every time that I go visit him in the summer, all he's thinking about is going back to school. He's like a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant of teaching. He's just that dedicated. And he loves teaching, and I'm just very proud of him, and I've always told him that I'm proud that he's making an impact on young people's lives.
Thank you so much, Duran, and you're never going to live this down in your class, you know that.
No, well, actually, it's funny that my brother says that, because there was a point where I had the chance. I wasn't locked in at my school yet, and there was an opportunity that I could have went to Riverside to teach, and I remember having a conversation with my brother, and my brother said, because normally Monday through Thursday I'm normally in slacks and tie as I am today, and he says, you don't know how many people that you know and don't know that are looking at you and saying, who is that guy right there that's in the slacks and the tie? He goes, you're making a difference in people's lives that you don't know. And thanks to him, this is where I need to be, because I was in turmoil, like I don't know what I should do. And he made that comment to me, and then I was like, this is where I need to be.
Are you happy with that decision?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, let's go out to another call. In Yucaipa, it's Carol. What's your question, Carol?
Are the students that you have, I have a question. Are they, is there a specific curriculum that the AVID students follow, or is it the same curriculum as other students? And then I wanted to know if there are other AVID teachers that are in different curriculum areas.
Great question. Carol basically asked, do the students that go to AVID, do they integrate into the rest of the school population for all their other classes, or are they in kind of advanced classes? You know how AP is like separate or something like that? Talk about the AVID.
Yeah, we have our AVID classes. It's an elective class, so they're in there that one period. But they go to their math, they go to their English, they go to their history, and we actually do have our curriculum as well. Where there's an AVID curriculum. There's a little bit of leadway, so because we work on writing, we have culture projects like this. We do work on math. We work on the CSTs. We work on the California High School exit exam stuff. So we do have a curriculum. I think it hasn't been like that in the last few years, but before it was AVID a study hall, and it's far from that. It is not a study hall.
Okay. Kenny?
Yeah.
You are somebody that is experienced with Mr. Smotherman, and you have fairly unique perspective. How did you first meet him?
I think I met Mr. Smotherman at a track and field practice.
And let me set the foundation. You were also an athletic coach, were you not?
I coached football, basketball, and track for, I think I want to say 7 years.
Okay, so bring us forward. Kenny, how did you meet him?
Well, me and my friend Cozy were trying to get involved in some extracurricular activities, and we tried out for track, because you didn't really need to try out for track. Anyone could just go in. So we just figured we would be jocks for this this semester. And so we joined, and he was coaching with Mr. Richards too, and yeah, that's pretty much how we met him. I'm sorry, what was
No, the counselor's office.
Okay.
Tell me about that.
The counselor's office. You're embarrassing me now.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that is what kind of gives you a unique perspective.
Yeah. So like, pretty much, let me set it up. I went to Pacific High School, going there with no friends because I came from another district. And so during lunchtime, like I said, I had no friends, and so I would go to the counselor's office to eat my lunch because I didn't know where to sit. And so I would just do that for like a good long time. And this is so embarrassing. And then I made a friend from academic decathlon, Cozy, like I said, and that's when track came involved.
So you got involved in track, and then pick it up from there. What happened next?
Well, it's funny because I didn't really know the story behind that. I didn't know that, you know, he used to in the counselor's office or whatnot. I was a track coach, and just as stern as I am, I'm in the classroom. I'm stern as far as when it was football and basketball and track. And I treat everyone equally out there, whether you were the top sprinter or whether you weren't the top sprinter. And Kenny at the time was one of the sprinters, and I think I worked specifically with the hurdlers and the sprinters. And I think he has a hurdle story, as far as the rain goes, and I'll let him explain that.
Now we're turning this into more of a I don't really like Mr. Smotherman episode. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was just I think the track was wet due to some rain, and so we were training on cement with the hurdles, and so that was a little unorthodox and intimidating because falling would hurt.
Yes, on the cement.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he would make us do that when the rain was on the track.
So did this impress you, or did it make you think, oh my gosh, Mr.
This made me think that I don't want to do hurdling. I don't want to do this anymore. In fact, I was always going towards the distance running. I went cross country, and then I figured, okay, for track and field, I'll just do the long distance because I did cross country. No, they would take me back. He would always
He'd reel you back in?
Yeah, him and Mr. Richards.
So did this affect you scholastically?
Yeah.
In other words, you transferred in and you isolated yourself. You self-isolated in the counselor's office.
Yeah.
And so that hurt you in your school performance.
It did. I didn't really enjoy going to school. I would just kind of always tell my mom, I'm sick, I'm not going. So that kind of messed up my grades. And then with track, once that came up, I look forward to going to school because I had practice, and then I had people that I could just talk to or relate to with track. And so
you eventually, I believe, kind of took Kenny under your wing.
Yeah, and like I said, I treated all the kids equal, and I think that's where he kind of started to feel he was more accepted. He wasn't the only one that was running on the asphalt, you know.
No,
he wasn't the only one that was running in the hallway, and I kind of told Kenny, because I didn't know this story, and I said, you know, that's just kind of like life. You know, we always have things set up in our life, and we have these curveballs that come, and we have to keep moving. Even though the track was wet, next week there was a track meet, or the week after, the next person is training, and we can't allow that time to not train. So, you know, we have to do what we have to do to get things done.
Yeah.
Now, Kenny, if I understand, you were somebody who didn't enjoy school.
Yeah.
You started to enjoy it because of the sports program.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you were the success story. You graduated, you went on to college. Tell us where you are now.
I'm a senior in college. I'm about to graduate in June, and I'm majoring in television and film. And yeah, I enjoy college. It's fun.
Would you say that you started to enjoy academics after you graduated high school, or did
I would say
getting involved in sports really help?
Yeah, sports really helped. It just created that team thing, and then I guess it was just I liked going to school because I had a reason to go besides just to sit
and listen to study. Okay. I want to get back to sports in a moment because I asked you something just off the cuff before the show, and I want to elaborate on that, the benefits of sports. First, I'm going to go out to a call. Anna and Alondra from San Bernardino. Well, what did you want to say?
Hello?
Yes.
This is Anna and Alondra. We just wanted to thank Mr. Smotherman for all his help in getting us ready for next year. He's one of the best teachers in Pacific High School, and yeah, we just love him with all our hearts.
Thank you so much. So how much did you pay these kids?
I didn't pay them anything. I didn't pay them anything. I told you a little bit about the seasons of Smotherman. And the seasons of Smotherman goes as follows. At the beginning of the year, kids are very intimidated, as Sharon told you, because they hear all these different things about me. And they can't really put their finger on it, so they get into the class, and immediately, like within the month, all my rules come in and my procedures, and then they hate me. Literally, they hate me. And by Christmas time, it starts to change. They don't hate me, but they don't love me. There's a sense of intriguement. Like, I can't put my finger on it. I'm still kind of a little skeptical of him. I don't really care for him, but I don't know. And then by the end of the year, there's more of a love. And that's most of the time for the kids that have stayed in the program. And that's the kids that even have failed my class. Now, you have some of your kids that come in from the get-go. I love them, and I love them all the way through. And then you have some of the kids that I hate them at the beginning, I hate them in the middle, and I hate them at the end. And that's just how it is. And I kind of use the comparison, you know, as far as the screen door. A lot of the kids that kind of are now juniors or seniors, they'll come back, I miss your class. And I tell the kids, I say, look, you guys are trying to get out, they're trying to get in. So that's that kind of screen door as far as the flies in the screen door. I love teaching my kids, and my kids can see that I love doing what I do. And I think when they see that I care for them, they, in a sense, care for me.
Okay, I'm going to break to a completely different subject because we got an email. By the way, you can email us. This is a question from Sunny of Highland. I heard people say that parents are not as involved with homework as they used to be, but I found it to be the other way around. My friends make sure to sit down with their kids and get it done. I didn't see that when I was a kid. What do you think? What's the trend today, parent involvement?
It's in the high school world, it is not, the parents aren't as involved. And just in our area, some of our kids might be taking care of brother and sister because mom and dad are at work. And then there's also a lot of our population that did not graduate necessarily high school or necessarily have taken those classes. I look at myself as far as being an AVID teacher. I'm supposed to be a little bit versed in each subject, but it's been years since I've been in biology. It's been years since I've been in chemistry. So if I was a parent that hadn't been in chemistry or biology for a long period of time, trying to help my kid on their homework might be a little bit difficult. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, because we do get a lot of parent involvement, like, what do I need to do? But as far as like actually sitting down and helping them with those assignments, that might be a little bit difficult.
Kenny, I'm going to go back to sports here in just a minute, but first I want to take a call. Joanna from Rialto. What did you want to say, Joanna?
Oh, that we've worked with Kenny for several years at Casera Middle School, and that he is just the most wonderful person you can even meet. We have enjoyed him at Casera Middle School as our librarian. He mentors the kids. He gets along well with all the faculty there. One thing that we really like about him is that his patience and understanding of the students there at Casera Middle School, and the idea that he has ran the chess club, and he does an excellent job there. He gets the kids that come in early in the morning to Casera, have nowhere else to go, and they go to the library. And for those years, that's the year that he was with us, he just had a good rapport with the students and the faculty and the staff, and we really miss him.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I appreciate that. Wow, everybody's watching, everybody's calling in to say how great you are. Deserved, obviously. Let's take another call out in San Bernardino. Let's go to Isabel. Isabel, what did you want to say?
Hello, Mr. Smotherman.
Hi.
It's Isabel from it.
Okay. There you go. Another shout out for you, Mr. Smotherman. All right, Kenny, we were talking about sports. I want to talk about that a moment. Sports for you was pretty pivotal to getting you integrated into the greater class body at the high school.
Yeah, it was.
So Mr. Smotherman, you and I had a brief conversation before the show when I said one of the things that I'd like to bring up is this concept that why is sports in high school? We're trying to compete with China. We're trying to compete with the rest of the world. Let's teach math and science. Where's the role of sports? And you gave me a pretty profound answer. Kenny would give me the same.
Yeah. Well, just that inclusion. And some kids don't necessarily sit in the classroom well. And I think, as he said, the team aspect, and you think about it, once you graduate from high school or college or whatnot, there's many people, the majority of the world is not going to play a sport, but the team aspect that you learn from there as far as working together, the relationships that you have to. In my classroom, my kids sit in fours, and I've been known to, if you guys don't have, you guys have a problem, you guys are going to sit next to each other. Yeah. Why is that? Do I want to make your life a living nightmare? No. But you have to learn to work together. Because if you have that corner office job, you're going to go and say, look, I don't like this person that I'm working with. You can't do that. You still got to put the food on the table for your family. And I think a lot of things that you do as far as in teams, it establishes you and it helps you as far as real life issues, working together. They always say, cliches, you're strong as your weakest link or whatever. But that's just how it is. If you're working on a project together, engineering, communications. I mean, just here, there's a lot of people that are behind the scenes that we don't see that help with this production as well.
I would agree with that too, because like in college, that's pretty much how you pass your classes. You need to hook up with people. If you don't do that, then it's just, you're doing it all on your own. You're taking 4 classes. It's impossible.
I love that perspective. Sports isn't about the sports. It's about learning how to deal with other people to prepare you to succeed in life.
Definitely.
But we have callers, and I'm going to go out to them. Let's go to Highland. Teresa, what's your question?
What would exclude a student from AVID?
What excludes a student from AVID?
Like we said, we have an open door policy here for at Pacific. But what can exclude some of the students? I mean, if I have a kid that's in the 9th grade coming into the 10th grade, has all Fs, doesn't have that determination. There's that determination. They have to want to go to college. Because a lot of times parents see it as like, this is the great program. But if the kid doesn't want to be in the program, just not doing the work, not doing the assignments, doesn't want that, want to go to college attitude, then AVID's not necessarily the best place for them.
Okay, now I'm going to end it with this last question. We only have a few seconds, and that is, if the student has college-educated parents, are they excluded then?
Not in our program, but in some programs. I mean, my daughter might be excluded from the school that she's going to. She's going to go into high school, and they're kind of saying, well, we have to take the middle kid, the kid that didn't go to college. And I sent an email, and they kind of sent back the email saying, well, we got to get the most deserving. And I'm like, wow, I'm an AVID teacher trying to get the inside link. And so some programs, they do exclude if you have an educated or college graduated parents.
Okay. If we didn't get to your call or question, I apologize, and it was so great having you on the show. The information you gave was fantastic. I want to thank our guests, Marlon Smotherman, Sharon Awad, and Kenny House, for sharing their perspectives on the importance of teacher mentors. Tune in next week when we'll talk with alumni who look back and give us a hindsight perspective on their educations. I'm Roger Bowman. Thank you for joining us on Plugged Inland.